Now let us get into something called as AS12, which speaks about, it's very simple standard. Basically, three things we need to cover as a part of AS12. Okay, so here basically the standard is trying to speak something regarding accounting of government grants. So we are basically focusing on what? Accounting of government grants. So we are trying to focus on accounting of government grants. So that's what is nothing but the coverage of your government grants. Now, as I said, basically there are three things which we need to consider. One is said to be called as recognition. Second one is something called as types of government grants. And third one is something called as refund of government grants. So only these three areas we need to cover as a part of your AS12. But before getting into this, what is government grant? We need to understand government grant means what? Government grant means what? In what forms you can get the grant? If we understand that, then we can quickly get onto the standard. Alright? So what is government grant? Government grant is nothing but some sort of subsidy you are getting. Government is giving you some sort of subsidy. Whenever you are getting some sort of subsidy, that subsidy is called as a grant. Now, the grant can be always of two categories. The government can give you the grant in forms of money. The government can give you the grants in forms of kind. So ultimately, the grant will be monetary grant and the grant may be the non-monetary grant. So that's what is the basic thing. So government is giving you some sort of money or government is giving you some sort of subsidy. So that could be what? Either I can consider as a monetary purpose or non-monetary purpose. So ultimately that's what is something called as for government grant. Now the question is, when should I recognize the grant? The thing is, we know that we are maintaining your books of accounts on accrual basis. So as you are maintaining your books of accounts on accrual basis, do I record the grant also on accrual basis? If yes, when? On what conditions I need to recognize? So the first thing we need to highlight here is nothing but recognition of government grant. I need to recognize something called as my government grant, which is something called as recognition of government grant. Now, how do I recognize? What are the conditions? Basically, the standard gives you two conditions. Two conditions. One. There may be something called as conditional grant. What is the meaning of conditional grant? The donor is putting some sort of conditions. If you satisfy those conditions, then only you will be getting money. So ultimately, as soon as the conditions are satisfied, you can recognize. So the first condition here is what? The first condition is entity. So here, any sort of subsidy to the entity. So here the entity, government is giving some sort of subsidy to the entity, or government is giving some sort of monetary, or government is giving some sort of non-monetary grants to the entity, then when to recognize. So here the first condition is what? The first condition says entity has complied. Entity has complied with all the conditions relating to the grant, relating to the collection of the grant. That means if the government is telling, if you do this activities, if you do this, then you will be getting the grant. So here the first condition is what? Entity. Entity, the receiver of the grant, entity has, what the entity has done? The entity has complied. That means the entity has fulfilled, complied all the conditions. So entity has complied with what? With all the conditions. So whatever conditions relating to the grant, entity has complied with all conditions relating to collection of grant. Relating to what? Collection of grant. So if the government says, if you do these conditions, if you satisfy these norms, you will be giving this amount of grant. So if you are fulfilling this sort of condition, then ultimately I can say the first condition is satisfied. So suppose you are registered as a college and you want some sort of grant from the government. The government says you should get some registration done. You should do some sort of things. You should have a laboratory. So, and the minimum square feet of the laboratory should be this. So, if you are complying with all those conditions, then I can say one part of the condition is done. Then ultimately, okay, then the second condition is satisfied, whether it is certain that you will be receiving the grant. So the second condition says entity has complied with all the conditions relating to the collection of the grant, and there should be a certainty about ultimate collection of the grant. That means not only you are complying, you should have a certainty that the grant will be received. Say suppose by the time you satisfy your condition, the government has been changed, new government is coming, then ultimately the certainty is not there. First condition is satisfied, conditions is done, but certainty of receiving is not there. So two conditions, both the conditions should be satisfied. So here what is the next point here? The next point of the standard says that there should be what? There should be certainty. There should be some sort of certainty about, there should be some sort of certainty about ultimate collection. So there should be some sort of certainty about ultimate collection of grant. So there should be some sort of certainty about ultimate collection of grant. So whatever grant you are receiving, okay, so there should be some sort of certainty. If there is some sort of uncertainty, you should not recognize the grant till the certainty is established. So two conditions if you satisfy, you can recognize. It's very simple. One, the person who is giving you the grant is imposing some sort of conditions, you should comply with the conditions. Then you had complied the conditions, but you should try to find out whether it is certain to receive the grant. As I said, you had fulfilled the conditions. By the time you fulfill the conditions, new government has been formed. So ultimately, is the certainty there? Can't say. So you should see that if the certainty of receiving the grant is established, then only you have to go for recognition. Otherwise, you need to wait till the point of your recognition. That's what are the two basic conditions which you are supposed to satisfy. Now, so that's what is the first part. First part is nothing but the recognition. Second part of this standard is nothing but types of grants. Types of grants. So now we are basically having 5 different types of grants. 5 types of grants are there. We need to see what is the different types of grants and how do the accounting of the grants are done. First, what we will do, we'll discuss the standard. We'll try to complete the discussion of the standard. We'll discuss types of grants and we'll discuss what is the accounting treatment if the grant is refunded. Then we'll get into and see the problems. We'll try to see few examples of application of the standard. Okay. Now, types of grants. Okay. Those examples I am purely referring from your ICI material. So whatever examples which are given in ICI materials, I am just trying to cover those examples as a part of your AS12. So here, before getting into that, let us see what are the types of grants are there. As I said, there are 5 different types of grant. The first type of grant is nothing but something called as the revenue grant. Revenue grant. So whenever you are getting any sort of revenue grant, this revenue grant should be considered as a part of your income. So I need to consider this as an income. So that means what? Whenever you are considering this as an income, you should credit this to where? Your profit and loss account. So type of grant, revenue grant, whenever you are getting any grant called as revenue grant, means what? What is the meaning of revenue grant? Any sort of grant which is given by the government for meeting your revenue expenses. Say you need to pay the salaries, you don't have the money. Government is giving money, say for example to Air India or to any sort of government organization for making payment of salaries. Then ultimately what I have to consider? I have to consider that as a revenue grant, because this grant is given by the government for meeting revenue expenses. So I will consider this as a revenue grant. So as you are considering this as a revenue grant, what you are supposed to do? 2 options. Either consider that as an income or what, reduce this from your expenses. So as I said, this grant is given for you to make payment of salary. Say you are getting 10 lakhs rupees as the government grant. Now this 10 lakhs rupees is used by you to make payment of our salaries. So what I will do, from the salaries I will reduce this revenue grant. So I am going to reduce this revenue grant from the amount of salaries. So that's what is the basic concept behind your revenue grant. So here what we are trying to do, if received, say generally if the purpose is mentioned, not mentioned, I can simply create the to profit and loss account. But if this grant, whenever your revenue grant is given for specific purpose, so whenever revenue grant is given for specific expenditure, then what I'm supposed to do? Then it may be reduced from that expenditure. So for meeting specific expenditure, if you are getting the grant, so this revenue grant should be reduced from your specific expenditure. So here, if grant is received for specific expenditure, then what I will do? Then it may be reduced. It may be reduced from what? It may be reduced from such expenditure. You got a grant of 10 lakhs for making payment of salaries. The amount of salaries paid is 10 lakhs. So you are reducing 10 lakhs from the salaries and you are showing the salaries as 0. Or show the salaries as 10 lakhs. Show this 10 lakhs as a credit side of your profit and loss account. So net impact will be same. So here, if received for specific expenditure, then it may be reduced. It may be reduced from such expenditure. So what you need to do, it may be reduced from such expenditure, right? Either you consider it as an income or you reduce that from your expenditure. Both gives you the same sort of impact. This will be done in the case of your revenue grant. Then the next one is something called as your non-monetary grant. So what is the meaning of non-monetary? The next one is something called as your non-monetary grant. So what is the meaning of non-monetary grant? The government is giving you some asset in kind, or the government is giving you some sort of asset at concessional price. So whenever we are focusing on something called as your non-monetary grant, there may be two cases. Two cases will arise. The non-monetary grant may be obtained at free of cost, or the non-monetary grant may be obtained at something called as concessional price. Means what? The cost of the asset is 10 lakhs, but the government is charging 2 lakhs from you and it is giving the asset. So that's what is something called as the concessional price. Okay. So non-monetary grant received at free of cost, the treatment is going to be different. Non-monetary grant received at your concessional price, so ultimately the treatment is going to be different. Now let us try to understand first, whenever any asset is received at free of cost, then what the accounting standard 12 says. For this we need to refer again to accounting standard 10. There I had mentioned one point that AS 10 is applicable for all assets other than those covered under other standards. There I had given an example that whenever you are getting an asset under government grant, then AS 10 is not applicable, AS 12 is applicable. Now we are trying to discuss the case. So whenever you are getting an asset at free of cost, then AS 12 clearly says record such asset at nominal value. So don't get confused here. I am not using the value fair value. I am using something called as nominal value. What is the meaning of nominal value? Any value, whatever value you want, you record. Whatever value you want, you record. It's not a fair value. It's not the market value. It's anything. You need to show that as an asset. You may even show the value of the asset as 10 rupees, 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, or whatever it is. At some nominal cost, at some nominal value, you have to record. When you will do this, whenever the asset, government is giving you some sort of grant in the form of an asset and you are getting this asset at a free of cost, then I will record the asset in this fashion. So in this case, what will happen? Okay, in this case, what will happen? Okay, so in this case, no depreciation. You should not take any depreciation because you are recording the asset at a nominal cost. You need not take any, you should not take any sort of depreciation. Now if I try to understand the journal entry, revenue grant, what could be my journal entry? You are getting some cash, bank account will be debited to revenue grant. So ultimately, or to government grant. So here, as it is a revenue grant, all incomes are credited. So what I am going to do, I am going to simply credit this government grant to my. If I want to pass an entry for accrual, see, grant is not received, but here what we have seen, recognition. When I have to recognize, as soon as the conditions are complete, as soon as there is uncertainty, record. So first entry will be what? First entry for your recognition of your grant will be what? Grant receivable, income accrued but not received, always an asset. So here, grant receivable account I am debiting to, as I need to receive a government grant. That grant could be revenue grant, that grant could be non-monetary grant or whatever it is. So to simply what I will call this as to government grant. To government grant. So grant receivable to government grant. Then ultimately what is happening? You are receiving the money. So as you are receiving the money, when the grant is received, bank account will be debited, grant receivable account will be created. This is for what? Approval. As soon as the condition is satisfied, you can record. As soon as the grant is received, you will record. So this is the entry for recording the receipt of the grant. Bank account will be debited, grant receivable account will be credited. So ultimately grant receivable got closed. And this grant, what you will do, if that is a revenue grant, you will simply transfer that to profit and loss account. That's it. You are simply going to transfer that to the profit and loss account. Now let us try to understand, in the case of your non-monetary grant, you are not taking any sort of depreciation, but asset you are recording at some nominal cost. At some nominal cost you are recording. So what you will do here, my entry is what? As I am getting some sort of asset, I need to debit my machine account, machinery account, or whatever account it is, that is going to be debited. How I am getting this? In form of my government grant. So machine account to government grant. Here I won't be getting any sort of cash. So here revenue grant you are receiving the form of cash. That's the reason you are considering bank account debit, grant receivable account credit. So in this case, as soon as I fulfill the conditions, ultimately what I will do, I will recognize that and I will simply call that as what? Machinery account to government grant. As you are receiving the machinery account will be debited, to the government grant account will be created. So ultimately what I need to do, this government grant account should be transferred to something called as per capital reserve. So I need to transfer whatever amount of government grant nominal value are recording, that nominal value should be transferred to where? Should be transferred to the government grant. So here, whenever you are getting this at concessional price, you are receiving this as at a concessional price, then what I need to do? Then record your asset at actual acquisition price. The value of the asset is 10 lakhs, but the government is giving the asset to you at 2 lakhs. What is your actual acquisition cost? Your actual acquisition cost is going to be 2 lakhs. You can recognize the asset at 2 lakhs. So that's what is something called as a non-monetary grant, and you are considering at your concessional price. That's what is your second type of grant. Now third. Okay, now let us move on to the third one, third type of grant. Third, what is this? Third is nothing but in nature of promoter's contribution. Government is giving you some sort of grant in nature of promoter's contribution. Government is giving you grant in nature of promoter's contribution. You got a grant from the government. What is the nature of the grant? In the terms of promoter's contribution. That means government is acting as a promoter. In the nature of a promoter contribution, government is going to give you a grant. So the standard clearly says, very simple, whatever grant you are getting, directly transfer, directly without any hesitation, directly transfer to where? To something called as capital reserve. Whenever you are getting a non-monetary grant, you are first recognizing that as an asset, then you are transferred to capital reserve. But in this case of promoter's contribution, directly I will transfer that to the capital reserve. That's what is the accounting treatment for your promoter's contribution. Then the next one is nothing but grant in relation to non-depreciable asset. Government is giving a grant which is in nature of non-depreciable asset such as land. So government is giving you some sort of land. So in this case of land, as that is a non-depreciable asset, so same as above. That means what is the accounting treatment for a promoter's contribution? The same thing I will do. You are getting a land account will be debited. Ultimately, that entire money should be transferred to where? Capital reserve. Or land to government grant to capital reserve, or directly you can transfer from land to where? Capital reserve. So directly to capital reserve. That's what is the accounting treatment in the case of your non-depreciable asset. Now, let us go to the last type of grant, which is nothing but your depreciable asset in relation to a depreciable fixed asset. Now here we are purely focusing on something called as grant in nature of depreciable fixed asset. So anything which is called as a depreciable fixed asset, if you are getting the grant, then ultimately what I need to do? What is my accounting treatment which I need to follow? AS12 says two methods are there. Either you can go with method 1 or you go with method number 2. Let us try to see what is your method number 1. Method number 1 is something called as what? Net method. Method number 2 is something called as what? Gross method. Thus the standard clearly says either you go with net method or you go with gross method. So now what is the meaning of net method? How we are going to do as a part of your net method? So the net method says whatever grant you are receiving, that grant should be reduced from your cost of the fixed asset. So here what the standard says here? So here the standard says cost of fixed asset less cost of fixed asset less amount of grant. Say the cost of fixed asset was 10 lakhs, amount of grant was 2 lakhs. So ultimately 10 minus 2, 8 lakhs. So net asset method says you should record the grant, you should record the fixed asset at this difference. That's what is something called as the net method. So what we are doing, whatever grant you are receiving, that grant what I am doing there, that grant I am reducing from my cost of my fixed asset. I am purchasing my fixed asset, I am getting some sort of grant, that grant where I am doing, I am crediting to my fixed asset account. So that's what is something called as the net method. Now in gross method, gross amount shall be credited to deferred grant. So here what I need to do, I need to credit something called as deferred grant account. So what I am trying to do there, I am trying to, whatever money which you are receiving from the grant received, so whatever grant received, that what I am doing, instead of directly crediting to the asset account, I am crediting to something called as deferred asset account. So whatever grant you get, see here what I have done, cost of my asset is 10, grant you are receiving 2, so ultimately fixed asset is recorded as 8, you are taking depreciation on 8. Now under gross method, my fixed asset will be recognized at 10. So here what I am doing here, to be precise, to be very precise, under gross method, two things are there. Fixed asset, depreciable fixed asset is regarded at the cost. So whatever cost is there, 10 lakhs I will be recording at the cost. Then what I will do, whatever grant received, that you are crediting to where? Crediting to something called as deferred grant account. So deferred grant account you are considering. So you are considering this as a liability. Then what I will do, this deferred grant will be amortized. I will amortize this deferred grant. In proportion, I will amortize this deferred grant in proportion to what? In proportion to depreciation. In proportion to depreciation, what we are doing? We are considering, we are transferring. So you are considering this entire thing as a deferred grant. In proportion to your depreciation, you will be transferring this to where? You will be transferring this to your profit and loss account. So that's what is the accounting treatment which will be happening in the case of gross amount. So fixed asset will be shown at cost. Depreciation will be calculated on cost. Every year, in proportion of the depreciation, this amount you are considering as a part of grant, deferred grant, will be transferred to profit and loss account. So depreciation will be debited. This deferred grant, apportionment of your deferred grant will be credited to the profit and loss account. The net impact is nothing but the depreciation. So ultimately, both the methods will give the same result. Here you are calculating depreciation on directly on 8. Here you are calculating depreciation on 10, and this in the same proportion you are charging this to the other side of the profit and loss account. So the impact is going to be the same under both the methods. Now the last one is quite simple. We need not discuss that in much detail. We will try to see in the problems. So the third part of this standard is what? Is nothing but refund of grant. So whenever you are getting the refund of grant, the simple account treatment is what? Reverse original transaction. Reverse your original transaction means what? Say, let us go here. You got a revenue grant. What you have done? Credited your profit and loss account. Now debit your profit and loss account. Reverse your entry. So earlier you have credited your profit and loss account. Now simply debit your profit and loss account. Done. So that's what is the refund. Non-monetary grant, you had considered your fixed asset to what? Government grant. Reverse that entry. Government grant to fixed asset. So ultimately the fixed asset is going to be removed from your books. You got a grant in the form of your promoter's contribution, and you are directly transferring, crediting to the capital reserve. Now debit your capital reserve. You got a non-depreciable asset and you are not done some conditions. You are supposed to return that. Then what I will do? Reverse my original entry. Earlier you have directly credited to capital reserve. Now I am reversing. I will debit the capital reserve. Here also the same thing. What I am going to do? I am reducing my cost of fixed asset. Now I will try to increase my cost of fixed asset. Here what you are doing? Entire thing you are considering as a part in your deferred revenue account. From there you are transferring to your profit and loss account. Reverse that. Now once you reverse that, the differential will be either debited or credited to the profit and loss account. We'll see. This will try to understand with a few examples, then we can easily understand the refund of the government grant which is happening. So that's what is the basically the AS12 which is speaking about. Okay. Now what we'll do, as I said, let us see the problems which are given in our ICI material. That's sufficient for AS12. Clear? Okay, now let us move on to the problem number 1. Solution to problem number 1. Okay, now let us get into our ICI material. Illustration 1. Z Limited purchase a fixed asset for 50 lakhs. So now, what is the cost of fixed asset? Cost of fixed asset is 50 lakhs. Okay. First, let us write all this information. Then we'll see which type of grant that is coming into. So once we ascertain which type of grant that is, then basically what we can do some sort of entries. Now, cost of the grant is given as 50 lakhs. Then, which has an estimated useful life of 5 years, which is salvage value of 5 lakhs. So here, salvage value, residual value is given as 5 lakhs. Then he is giving you life of the asset to be 5 years. So this what is the information which has been provided. Then what? On purchase of the assets, government granted 10 lakhs. So here you are getting a government grant. When on purchase of asset, grant received is going to be 10 lakhs. Okay. So grant received is going to be 10 lakhs. Now pass the general entries in the books of the company for the first 2 years. If grant is deducted from the value of the fixed asset, so grant is deducted from the value of fixed asset, he is trying to calculate, asking you to pass the entries. So now here you are getting a fixed asset. How you are getting a fixed asset? So ultimately I can consider whenever the grant is given in the form of your depreciable, you are getting some sort of depreciable fixed asset. We have discussed 2 methods are there, net method, gross method. Under net method is very simple. You will take the cost of the asset. In this case, the cost of the asset is what? 50 lakhs. The amount of grant is what? 10 lakhs. So you will be recognizing the asset value as what? 40 lakhs in your books of accounts. So here the value will be that. You will be taking depreciation also on what? On your cost, less grant, less residual value. So on this you need to take the depreciation. That's what is something called as the net method. Then coming to gross method I will calculate my depreciation separately. I will take the cost and I will calculate the depreciation on the cost, and I will recognize the grant received separately. So ultimately here what I will do, as I take the depreciation, I will amortize the grant and I will transfer that to my profit and loss account. That's what is something called as the account treatment. So here the problem is specifically asking what? For the first 2 years, if grant is reduced from the value of the fixed asset, that means net method, he is asking you to calculate net method. But what we'll do for your understanding, let us do the problem under both the methods. Under net method and under gross method, both the things let us try to do. Now here, I need to purely simply pass the entries. Nothing other thing is required. So I need to only pass the entries there. So now, general entries in the books of Z Limited, if I pass, first entry is what? You are purchasing your fixed asset. As you are purchasing your fixed asset is coming. So now first entry will be what here? First entry will be my fixed asset account will be debited. So I need to debit my fixed asset account. To what? As I am incurring money first, you are incurring expenses, you are incurring 50 lakhs and the government is reimbursing the 50 lakhs, 10 lakhs. So the fixed asset cost is what? 50 lakhs I need to recognize. Then what is happening? Then the government is giving me some sort of grant amounting to what? The amount of grant which you are receiving is to be 10 lakhs. So as you are receiving, what this net asset method says? This net asset method says reduce this grant from your cost. So now what is the amount of grant which I am getting? I am getting a grant of 10 lakhs. So as I am getting a grant of 10 lakhs, bank account is increasing. As net asset method says, reduce this from where? From my asset cost. So I should credit my fixed asset account. So ultimately what I will do? Bank account I will debit and I will credit my fixed asset account with the amount of grant received. Because you are doing this based upon your net asset method, so your fixed asset cost is going to be reduced. Now, then what? That's it. So now you are supposed to claim your depreciation and transfer that depreciation to your profit and loss account. So first what I have to do, I need to reduce my fixed asset account with something called as my depreciation to fixed asset. So I need to provide some sort of depreciation on my fixed asset. So what the net asset method says, the net asset method says now your cost is not 50, your cost is only 40 lakhs. Your cost is what? 40 lakhs is nothing but your cost. And what is the residual value? The residual value is going to be 5 lakhs. Now, what is the life of the asset? The life of the asset is taken as 5 years. So now 35 lakhs divided by 5 years, every year you are going to take a depreciation amounting to 7 lakhs. So depreciation amounting to 7 lakhs. So he is asking you to pass the entries for 2 years. So the first entry, first year, the entries are this. Okay. So bank account to fixed asset, you are reducing, you are charging depreciation. Then depreciation being an expenses at the end of the year, I need to charge this to my profit and loss account. So what we are trying to do there? We are trying to debit your profit and loss account. We are going to credit your depreciation account. So profit and loss account will be debited to depreciation account. So P&L account debit to depreciation. So ultimately 7 lakhs. So with this, whatever depreciation you are charged, the same thing will be transferred to your profit and loss account. Second year only 2 entries will be there. The entries for your depreciation. Second year, I need to pass the entries for my depreciation. So I need to recognize the entry for my depreciation. As the question does not give you, I am assuming depreciation is on the straight line method. So depreciation on the straight line method, that's what is the assumption we have considered. So as you are taking an assumption on straight line, every year my depreciation is going to be 7 lakhs. So every year I am going to transfer to my profit and loss account 7 lakhs. That's what is the first method. Now the same problem, say I want you to pass the entries for your second year. Second year only 2 entries will be there. Depreciation 7 lakhs you need to record. That's what is one entry. Then charging your depreciation to your profit and loss account. So transfer depreciation to your P&L account. So I need to transfer the depreciation to my profit and loss account. These are the 2 entries which you need to pass. That's it. Then second method, what is your second method? Second method is nothing but your gross method. Net method we have done. Now let us do something called as our gross method. So what the gross method says, recognize your asset at cost. Then how do I do this? As you are purchasing your fixed asset account will be debited, so bank account will be credited with what? With the cost of the asset, which is nothing but your 50 lakhs rupees. Done with the first entry. Then what I need to do? Earlier, net method, whatever grant you are receiving, you are supposed to reduce from your cost. Now what I am supposed to do under gross method, whatever grant I receive, I need to defer that. I need to consider as deferred grant. So ultimately here, what is my entry? Bank account will be debited with what? With the amount of grant received. Then what I will do? I will credit this as my deferred revenue grant. So what we are trying to do, we are creating this as a part of your deferred revenue grant. So 10 lakhs will be considered as a credit. So deferred revenue grant account will be created. Then what I have to do? Then I have to claim depreciation. Depreciation to fixed asset. Depreciation to fixed asset. Earlier your cost was 40 lakhs. Now my cost is what? 50 lakhs only. My cost is 50 lakhs only. Now how do I claim depreciation? My cost of the asset is 50 lakhs, but residual value being 5 lakhs. My depreciation I will be claiming on 45 lakhs. So this 45 lakhs divided by life of the asset is going to be 5 years, and I am claiming that on straight line method. So 50 lakhs minus 5 lakhs divided by 5. So I will be getting something called as depreciation to be considered as your 9 lakhs is to be considered as a part of your depreciation. Then your entire grant you are receiving, you are considering that as a part of your deferred revenue grant. And what I had mentioned here, one point I had mentioned here clearly, that whenever you are considering that as a deferred revenue grant, amortize that in the proportion of your depreciation. Depreciation is taken for a period of 5 years. So this deferred revenue grant will also be amortized for a period of 5 years. Then what I have to do? This deferred revenue grant I need to charge to my profit and loss account. So what I am doing? For the first year, deferred revenue grant, or not required as revenue. So deferred grant. So deferred grant account will be debited now. Deferred grant account will be debited. Deferred grant. Where I am transferring this? This deferred grant account to be transferred to your profit and loss account. I will transfer this deferred grant to my profit and loss account. So what I am doing? 10 lakhs is the deferred grant. So 10 lakhs divided by 5. Every year, what I need to do? Transfer, reduce my deferred grant with 2 lakhs, charge that to your profit and loss account 2 lakhs. Now, what I have to do? The depreciation, whatever depreciation you are having, the depreciation should be charged to where? Profit and loss account. So P&L account to depreciation. How much you are charging? The amount of depreciation you are charging to your profit and loss account is what? 9 lakhs is the amount of depreciation you are charging. So ultimately, what is the impact in the profit and loss account? Debited with 9 lakhs, credited with 2 lakhs. What is the impact? 7 lakhs is the impact. So earlier in your net asset method, directly you are debiting your profit and loss account with 7. So net impact is same. So both the methods will give you the same impact. Earlier you are debiting with 7. Now you are debiting with 9, crediting with 2. Ultimately the net impact is going to be 7. So now for the second year, for the next year, if I try to see how much money is there in my deferred grant, deferred grant was credited with 10. Now you had debited your deferred grant with 2. That means there is 8 lakhs balance in your deferred grant. Like that, by the end of the 5 years period, your deferred grant will be 0. Your liability will be 0. So that's what is the first problem. So that's what is the basis of application under this particular problem. Clear? Here, one assumption I had considered. If I go to the problem, here is mentioning as purchase of a fixed asset. The fixed asset could be depreciable, the fixed asset could be non-depreciable. Again, the fixed asset could be depreciable, the fixed asset could be non-depreciable. Here I had taken an assumption and had done the problem by considering the fixed asset as a depreciable. If you do the same problem by consideration as your fixed asset as non-depreciable, same problem if I consider, as non-depreciable fixed asset. If I consider the same thing as non-depreciable fixed asset, whatever government grant you are getting, what you should do? Directly transfer that to capital reserve. I need to consider this as a part of my capital reserve. That's it. If as I had taken an assumption as you were depreciable, I had considered in the net method and your gross method. If you are considering this as your depreciable asset, whatever amount of grant you are getting, simply charge that to your capital reserve. Okay, we'll simply consider and charge that to where? Your capital reserve. That's it. Now let us move on to the second illustration. Illustration number 2. Z Limited purchased a fixed asset for 50 lakhs which has an estimated useful life of 5 years with a salvage value of 5 lakhs. On purchase of the asset, government granted it 10 lakhs. Pass the necessary entries in the books of the company treating that as a deferred. We have done with that. See, in the same problem we have done with two methods. One being considering that as your net asset method, being considering that as your gross method. Now the second problem is asking you to consider that as your deferred revenue. Already we had passed. See what we had passed. Whatever amount of fixed asset you are purchasing, you are debiting. And whatever grant you are getting, that you are considering as your deferred grant account. So bank account to deferred grant account 10 lakhs you are considering. Now you are providing depreciation on your entire cost of 50 lakhs minus residual value. Then you are amortizing your grant to the profit and loss account. So ultimately the net impact in the P&L account is going to be 7 lakhs. So done. We had done with the same problem. Now let us move on to the problem number 3. Yeah. Santosh Limited has received a grant of 8 crores from the government for setting off a factory in a backward area. Out of this grant, the company distributed 2 crores as dividend. Also, Santosh Limited received land free of cost from the state government, but it has not recorded it at all as no money has been spent. In light of A12, examine whether both the treatment of the company are correct or not. See, let us analyze. Santosh Limited received a grant of 8 crores for setting up of a factory. So this person got a government grant from the government for setting up of a factory. Setting up of an industry, he got 8 crores. So what is the condition attached for the grant? The condition attached for the grant is nothing but what? The condition attached there is to use this 8 crores for setting up of a factory in a backward area. But out of this grant, company distributed 2 crores as dividend, which it is not supposed to be done. So you are not supposed to be using this money for distribution of a dividend. That is not supposed to be done. Santosh Limited received a land free of cost from the state government, but it has not recorded it at all as no money has been spent. See, now if we go to the second part, we have discussed here, whenever you are receiving, okay, this part, we are trying to analyze this point in this part. Whenever you are receiving any non-monetary grant in the forms of your free of cost, what the standard says? The standard says you have to record. Record should happen. Whether the amount is paid or not paid, you have to record it something called as a nominal value. But you cannot leave that. You should record that, and whatever amount you are recording, what you are supposed to do? Transfer that to capital reserve. That's what is the entry which you need to pass. So if I come to this problem, both the elements of the whatever accounting impact which the company has given, it's wrong. So the company should record that at the nominal value. So that's what is the solution. Now let us quickly get into your problem number 3. So here, okay, I'm directly going to solution number 3. Why? Because this gross method is nothing but a solution to problem number 2. I'm just simply putting it here as solution to problem number 2. Okay, we have done both the things simultaneously. Now let us go to your problem number 3. The same, whenever you are getting this sort of situations, you are just simply this answer is not sufficient. So here, if you look into as per AS12, so and so distribution of dividend is not permissible, and you should show that as a nominal value. So that's not allowed. See, if I ask this question for 5 marks, if you just write this, you won't be getting marks. So always the presentation plays a very vital role. So in your accounting standard 12, I had explained how should you write? You should write that as a part of facts. You should write that as a part of analysis. You should write that as a part of conclusion. So these three elements should be always forming part of this sort of scenarios. Facts. What is the facts? Santosh Limited received how much? What is the money? 8 crores. Santosh Limited received 8 crores rupees 8 crores as grant. So received 8 crores as grant from government. So Santosh Limited received 8 crores as a grant from the government for setting up what? Setting up industry in backward area. So for setting off industry in backward area, it received 8 crores, of which entity used 2 crores for distribution of dividend. That's what is the first case. That's what is the first case which is to be considered. Then what? Santosh Limited also received land free of cost. Also received land free of cost from state government, for which asset is not recorded by the company. So that's what is nothing but the facts of the given case. Now, okay, then we'll quickly go into something called as our analysis part. Analysis part, what we'll do, we'll write the provisions of the accounting standard. We are not doing anything much more than that. So now let us come to as a part of your analysis. So as a part of analysis, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to give a clarity that grant is to be recognized. Grant is to be recognized on complying of conditions. Grant is to be recognized on complying of the conditions. And if conditions are not complied, if you are not complying the conditions, if conditions are not complied, then the amount of grant, then the grant is to be refunded. The grant is to be refunded. That's what is the analysis part regarding the first part. Now, the second thing is what? The second thing is, whenever any grant is received, grant is received in form of cash. Grant is received in form of cash. See here, one thing I just want to highlight. Here we had considered one second. Let me go there and I'll explain there. Here, basically we are discussing this as a second case. Non-monetary grant. See, when we are using the word non-monetary grant, that non-monetary grant could be depreciable or non-monetary grant can be non-depreciable. So here it could be depreciable and here it also could be non-depreciable. That's the reason the provision is applicable for a depreciable asset and also the non-depreciable asset. Now let us come here. What is happening in this particular scenario? In this particular scenario, the second part, grant is received in form of kind. In form of kind. So in form of grant is received in the form of kind from state government. So the state government has given the grant in form of kind. So if grant is received in form of kind, then what the standard says? Then the standard says asset value has to be recorded. Asset value has to be recorded at nominal cost. I need to record the asset value at what? nominal cost. Record the value of the asset at a nominal cost. Again, I'm telling nominal cost is not the fair value. You record at any value, whatever value it is, you have to record. So that's what is the thing. So here, what is the entry you are supposed to pass? Fixed asset account will be debited at the nominal cost. I need to recognize to government grant. Then what I will do? This government grant will be transferred by me to capital reserve. So I need to record this in the form of kind. So asset should be recorded at the nominal cost. So entry is what? Your fixed asset account will be debited, government grant account will be credited. Then what I will do? This entire money which is sitting in the government grant account will be transferred to something called as what? Capital reserve. So that's what is the accounting impact which you are supposed to do for your asset received at a free of cost. Now finally the next one, the last one is nothing but the conclusion. So as a part of conclusion, we need to conclude action of Santosh Limited of distributing grant as dividend. See exactly what is the word he's asking. In light of AS12, determine the treatment of both the grants is correct. So he's asking you the treatment. So distribution of grant as dividend is incorrect. Why? As such grant is received for establishment of unit in backward area. So already I had explained there clearly. Now you just need to do the action. So as the grant is received for setting of an unit in the backward area, you cannot use it for any purpose because it is a conditional grant. Now what is the second one? The second conclusion is what? Santosh Limited should recognize asset received, which is nothing but the land asset received from state government. So Santosh Limited should recognize the asset received from the state government at what? At nominal value. And such value should be credited where? Credited to the capital reserve. So simply speaking, action of Santosh Limited is not valid as per accounting standard 12. So that's what is the basis of writing your any sort of problems in your accounting standard. Then only you expect 5 marks. If you just put simply the declaration of dividend is not valid, nominal value should be recognized, then please don't expect 5 marks. So if you want really 5 marks for this question, you need to put that in the terms of facts. You should put that in the forms of analysis. You should put that in the form of conclusion. See, whenever the paper is quite easy, the valuer will look at your paper. He want to expect something different. Everyone, 90 to 80% of the student will be attempting the paper and putting just simply declaration of dividend is not to be done, nominal value should be recognized. But if you put that in a facts, analysis and conclusion, your paper will be having a utmost criteria and you will be having a good weightage for getting more marks. So try to follow this pattern. So then only you expect 5 marks, otherwise you don't expect 5 marks. Then let us move on to illustration number 4. Illustration number 4. Yeah. Illustration number 4. Now let us move on to the next problem. Okay. So what we have done here, we had done with problem number 3. So now let us move on to problem number 4. Illustration number 4. Top and Top Limited has set up its business in a designated backward area, which entitled the company to receive from the government of India a subsidy of 20% of the cost of investment. That means whatever amount of investment you put, of that the government of India is going to give you 20% subsidy. Having fulfilled the conditions under the scheme, the company on its investment of rupees 50 crores in the capital asset receive 10 crores. The company has invested 50, as 20% of 50 crores is getting 10. So this company has received 10 crores as a subsidy from the government in Jan 2017. The company wants to treat this receipt as an item of revenue and thereby reduce the profit and loss account of the year 31st March 17. So maybe the situation is that for the year 16-17, the income of the company is lesser. So if ultimately they are having some sort of losses, if they consider this 10 crores in the profit and loss account credit, the profit will be increased. That's what is the intention. Keeping in view of the relevant accounting standard, discuss whether this action is justified or not. Okay, so here basically by looking at the problem, it is clearly evident that the company wants to treat this receipt as a revenue receipt. That's what is the first of all. So here the point number 1, solution to problem number 4 or illustration number 4, whatever it is. So by looking at the problem, the intention of the management is to consider the receipt as revenue. So same as usual, put it as facts. What is the facts? Is the company name given? Top and Top Limited. Yeah. So now let us consider here Top and Top Limited. So Top and Top Limited invested rupees 50 crores. Top and Top Limited invested rupees 50 crores. Okay. Invested rupees 50 crores in backward area. Backward area. And the thing is what? Got a subsidy of rupees 10 crores, because 50 into 20 you are getting 10 crores. So got rupees 10 crores as subsidy. So this company got 10 crores as subsidy from whom? From Government of India. So Government of India has given him 10 crores as the incentive for starting up an unit in the backward area. Now the thing is, Top and Top Limited wants to consider the receipt of rupees 10 crores as what? As a revenue grant. So they want to consider the 10 crores as a revenue grant. That's what is the facts of the case which are given. Now if I try to get into the analysis part, now let us analyze. So as we have mentioned clearly the facts of this particular issue, now let us try to do some sort of analysis of this. Now when I can consider this as a revenue, generally here if you look into these particular things, it is mentioned that having fulfilled conditions attached. So by looking at this, I can clearly analyze one important fact, that this is a conditional grant. This is going to be something called as a conditional grant, right? That's what is one thing which you can analyze. Then what else we can analyze here? By looking at this, you got 50 crores as this, and do you need to refund this back? No. There is no obligation at all to refund this. Here the only thing is what? There is no repayment which is expected. So you are not supposed to repay this. So here the second condition which I can analyze, no requirement of repayment. Why no requirement of repayment? Because you got this grant. When you got this grant, the company received the 20% subsidy after fulfilling the conditions. You had fulfilled the conditions. So if you don't fulfill the conditions, you need to refund that. But you got this grant after, what? You got this grant after fulfilling the conditions. So now as you got this grant after fulfilling the conditions, then ultimately what I have to do? I should not use this for any purpose. This should be considered as my undistributed profit. If I am crediting that to my profit and loss account, means what? My profit is increased, my revenue receipts are increased. So that should not be done, because when I will consider that as a revenue receipt, if that is a revenue in nature and that is given for a particular purpose and out of which you are incurring some sort of expenses, I will consider it as a revenue. So here that is not satisfied. So here no requirement of repayment, and the receipt of grant is after complying of all conditions. So grant is received after complying all the conditions. That's what is the third point we need to understand. And the receipt is not for incurring expenses for particular costs. So you need not incur any sort of expenses for a particular cost. That requirement is not there. So conditional grant, you are getting this after complying of some conditions. You need not require to do any sort of repayment. You had received this grant after complying all the conditions, and the receipt is not, you are not receiving this for incurring some sort of expenditure for a particular clause. So if the government is giving you for making purchase of something, for making payment of something, then ultimately you can consider this as a revenue. But all these conditions are not satisfied, and more appropriately, you cannot consider this as your revenue receipt, because this grant, whatever grant or whatever subsidy you are getting, is to be used, is to be considered as what? Is to be considered as undistributed profit. I cannot use this profit for declaration of dividend or for doing any other sort of purpose. So this is purely is to be meant for what? Undistributable profit. So I have to consider this as a capital reserve. I have to consider this as what? As a capital reserve. So we need to consider this as a part of your capital reserve. Now conclusion. So what is the conclusion which we can draw here? The conclusion is simply what? The conclusion, to conclude, what conclusions we can draw here? To conclude, only one thing I can call. So what is that? Which is nothing but the subsidy or grant is appropriate to be considered as capital reserve. So it is appropriate for you to consider as something called as a capital reserve. That's what is one thing we should understand. Okay, that's what is your conclusion. Now let us move on to the other problem. Okay, now let us move on to the next problem, problem number 5. Z Limited purchased a fixed asset for 50 lakhs which had estimated useful life of 5 years with a salvage value of 5 lakhs. On purchase of the asset, government granted 10 lakhs. Amount was reduced from the cost of the asset. Grant was considered to be refundable in the second year to the extent of 7 lakhs. Pass the general entries for refund of the grant as per the first method. So here what we'll do, same, if you look into this, this is same as your problem number 1 and problem number 2. Problem number 1, for the same thing, he is asked you to pass the entries for recognition of your revenue. Now he is asking you, whatever grant you are getting, of that a part of the money is refunded back, then he is asking you to pass the interest. Now what we'll do, same as we have done the first problem, we'll do fifth problem also. That means we will do the fifth problem based upon net method, based upon gross method. So under both the methods we'll try to solve this problem. Okay, so now let us first start with your problem number 5. Solution to problem number 5. Solution to problem number 5. So already we know how do we pass the entries under both the methods. In case of any doubts, again refer back to problem number 1 and problem number 2. So directly now what I am doing, I am getting into the refund part. Okay, so let me again come from the entries. Passing of the entries, recognition entry, then we'll go for the refund entry. So that will give you a complete connection of how do you recognize the asset and how you do refund the particular grant. Okay, now first what we'll do, let us consider this as your net method and let us consider this as your gross method. So let us do both the things simultaneously. What is your first entry? You are purchasing an asset. In the year 1 you had purchased an asset. When you purchase a fixed asset, what entry I will pass? As you are getting fixed asset account will be debited. As you are incurring some sort of expenses, bank account will be credited. What is the value of the fixed asset? 50 lakhs. Okay, so 50 lakhs here, fixed asset account will be debited, and the same thing I will credit with my bank account as 50 lakhs. Done. Same case with my gross assets, 50 lakhs, Fixed asset account will be debited 50 lakhs. My bank account will be debited. So okay, let me put it properly. Yeah, 50 lakhs fixed asset account is being debited in net asset method. Even in your gross asset method, 50 lakhs is the amount which you are going to credit your bank as well. So that's what is nothing but your first entry. Then what? Then if you do the entry as per net asset method, what the standard says? The standard says to reduce your cost. You are getting a grant, bank account will be debited to what? Fixed asset account. You are supposed to reduce your cost with what? 10 lakhs. You had reduced the cost of the asset by 10 lakhs. In the method of gross, I won't pass this entry. Whereas in the method of gross, what I am supposed to do? I should not reduce my fixed asset, but I have to consider it as a deferred grant. So here what I am going to do? I am getting some sort of money, bank account will be debited to, instead of reducing from the fixed asset, we are considering that as a deferred grant. We are considering that as a deferred grant. So how much you are getting here? Bank account 10 lakhs you are getting. Okay. Deferred grant also here you are getting something called as 10 lakhs. So this is nothing but the values you are having. So you had considered 10 lakhs as a deferred grant. Then what the standard says under gross method? In line with your depreciation, whatever value in the deferred account, that has to be transferred to the profit and loss account in line with your depreciation. Now let us come to the next entry. Next entry is what? I need to provide some sort of depreciation to fixed asset. In the first method, what I will do? I will provide depreciation on the cost. What is the cost here? 50 lakhs is the cost. Now, as your cost has been reduced by 10 lakhs, I had to reduce this with 10 lakhs. Then even I had to reduce with my scrap. What is the residual value? The residual value of this is going to be 5 lakhs. So I need to reduce even with 5 lakhs. So on this balance, so what is that? 50 minus 10, 40, 40 minus 5, 35. 35 divided by, what is the life of the asset? The life of the asset is 5 years. So divide by 5. So how much you are getting? 35 lakhs divided by 5 lakhs, you are getting something which is nothing but 7 lakhs. So depreciation account will be debited with 7 lakhs. Fixed asset account will also be debited with 7 lakhs if you follow something called as our net asset method. If you follow something called as our gross method, then what is your depreciation? What is your cost? 50,000 is your cost. From this cost, I need to reduce only the residual value of 5 lakhs. So 50 minus 5 divided by 5 years. So what was the depreciation you are calculating there? The depreciation amount you are calculating is nothing but 9 lakhs is the amount of depreciation. So under gross method, the amount of depreciation account would be debited with 9, fixed asset account would be credited with 9. Then what I am supposed to do? Under gross method, under your gross method, what I am supposed to do? Whatever deferred you are doing, the deferred at the end of the year, the deferred should be transferred to your profit and loss account. Earlier what you had done? Deferred grant account was credited, now deferred grant account I have to debit. So here what I will do? Deferred grant account I need to debit. Deferred grant account. 2. Deferred grant account 2. What? Where I should transfer? P&L. In what proportion I have to transfer? In proportion to the depreciation. That means in proportion to the life of the asset. Now what was the amount which was there in the deferred grant account? Whatever amount of grant you are getting, that you are putting as a part of your deferred grant. So 10 lakhs is there. Now this 10 lakhs, what I will do? This 10 lakhs will be amortized over the period of which for you take the depreciation. You are taking the depreciation for 5 years. So ultimately every year what I will do? I will transfer. I will debit my deferred grant with 2. That entire amount of 2 will be transferred by me to the profit and loss account. Done with your deferred grant. Then ultimately there is no need for passing any entry in the case of your net asset method, net method, because you are directly recording the depreciation. Now what I need to do here? The next entry, I need to debit my profit and loss account and I need to debit my depreciation account. In the case of net method, you are charging a depreciation of 7. In the case of gross method, you are charging a depreciation of 9. So here debit your profit and loss account with 7, credit your depreciation account with 7. In this case, debit your profit and loss account with 9, credit your profit and loss account with 9. So what is the impact? You are debiting your P&L account with 9, you are crediting your P&L account with 2, the difference impact is what? 7. That's what is your problem number 1 and problem number 2. Now, the important element in this problem is what? Refund. When the refund is happening, the grant was considered refundable at the end of second year. At the end of second year, the grant was happening. Okay, end of second year. So I am taking an assumption that second year, after taking depreciation, the grant is refunded. So as nothing is mentioned, see what is my assumption here? My assumption is grant refunded after claiming depreciation for second year. That's what is the assumption which I am considering. Okay, now with this assumption, what we'll do, we'll pass an entries for second year and we'll also pass an entries for third year. See, this is purely for examination, for your understanding purpose, because from the examination point of view, only one thing is required: implication on the refund. So how much, what is the entry which you are supposed to pass the refund is only one thing. For your understanding, I am explaining the recognition part, then the next year refund part, and after refunding, how do you take the other part. So for your understanding purpose, I am trying to explain this. Now, second year. Now let us get into second year. Second year, end of the second year, as I am taking assumption that refund is granted after depreciation. So let me take my depreciation first. And depreciation you are taking on straight line method. So depreciation to fixed asset, if I consider, same 7 lakhs here, 7 lakhs here, 9 lakhs here, 9 lakhs here. So that's what is the depreciation part. And along with this, what you have done, you had also reduced your deferred grant account. So you are reducing your deferred grant account. Okay, so deferred grant account you are reducing, and what you have done, this you simply transfer to your profit and loss account. You have transferred that to your P&L account. Now this entry I need not recognize in the case of your net method. This entry I should recognize only in the gross method. So what is the amount of your recognition? 2 lakhs. So 2 lakhs you are debiting your deferred grant, and the 2 lakhs you are crediting your profit and loss account. What was the amount in your deferred grant account? If you try to say, deferred grant account was originally credited with what? Deferred grant account was originally credited with 10. What you have done? First year transfer 2 lakhs, second year transfer 2 lakhs. So total how much you have transferred? 4 lakhs. 4 lakhs you have transferred. 4 lakhs is the amount which you have transferred. Now what is happening? The money got transferred, okay, to the profit and loss account. Now here, if you try to say, what is happening? You are refunding the grant. You are refunding the grant in the end of second year. So now when you are refunding the grant, see, the examiner is asking only this. This entry is only thing which you are required to pass. But for your understanding, I am trying to explain everything. So you are refunding. How much amount you are refunding? If you go back to the problem, he says at the end of second year, 7 lakhs is the amount which you are going to refund. 7 lakhs is the amount which you are going to refund. So what I had mentioned here, if you go back to our discussion, there I had mentioned that whatever entry you passed, that has to be reversed. That's what is the point which I had mentioned when you are discussing about something called as refund. See, let us see here. What I had mentioned, reversal of your original transaction. Reversal of your original transaction. What was my original transaction? Let us see. In this problem, my original transaction is what? If I follow as per net method, what was my original transaction? Bank account was debited, fixed asset account was credited. Now reversal. Reversal means what? Fixed asset account will be debited, your bank account will be credited. So you are refunding this. So net asset method, the refund entry is quite simple. So what you are doing? You are debiting your fixed asset account and you are crediting your bank account as you are paying that. So reversal of your original entry. So 7 lakhs is the amount which you are going to pay. So 7 lakhs will be debited, 7 lakhs will be credited. So this entry I won't pass in the gross method. in the gross method, what we have done, as soon as the refund is received, I had debited my bank account and I had created my deferred grant account. I need to reverse the entry. So now when I reverse this entry under gross method, what I will be having? Earlier, bank account was debited, deferred grant account was created. Now I will reverse. Deferred grant account I will credit. Okay. What I will do? Deferred grant account I will credit to bank. Deferred grant account will be credited to bank. What is the amount which you are paying? 7 lakhs is the amount which you are paying. Now, whatever balance in the deferred grant account, what is the balance in the deferred grant account? Originally, deferred grant account was created with 10 lakhs. At the end of year 1, you had reduced 2 lakhs. At the end of year 2, you had reduced another 2 lakhs. So ultimately, how much is there in your deferred grant account? In your deferred grant account, you are having what? In your deferred grant account, you are having 10 lakhs minus 4 lakhs. Total, you are having 6 lakhs in your deferred grant account. So now whatever amount I am having in my deferred grant account, I need to close it because I no longer require the deferred grant account. So I need to close this completely. So deferred grant account will be closed. Now, so deferred grant account will be debited with 6 lakhs. So I am going to debit my deferred grant account with 6 lakhs. Now, what is the balance? Whatever balance you are getting, that balance should be transferred to your profit and loss account. That balance should be transferred to where? To your P&L account. So that's the entry for your refund. So that's the entry for your second year. Now from the third year, what is happening? From the third year, how do you claim your depreciation? Let us see. Third year, if you go to net asset method or if you go to gross method, the only thing I need to calculate something called as what depreciation to fixed asset. How do you calculate your depreciation now? Earlier, what you had done? Earlier, the cost of the asset was 50. As the grant was 10, you are reducing this and you are reducing 5 lakhs. Now, the grant was 10, agreed. But what happened? The grant was 10, but now you refunded 7. You had refunded back 7. So I need to add the 7 there. It's very simple. Say 50, what you had done earlier? 50 lakhs minus 10 lakhs minus 5 lakhs plus 7. Now what is the value of fixed asset? Your fixed asset is increasing by 7. Your fixed asset account got debited by 7. Now what is the value in your fixed asset account at cost? If I try to say, originally your fixed asset was what? 50 minus 10, 40. Now here what you have done? Added your fixed asset by 7. Now the fixed asset cost is what? 47. Now from this what is happening? You are having a residual value. Residual value of what? 5. So this now I need to divide with what? Not with 5, the balance. Okay. So now this is what is the depreciation which you need to claim. So now here what I will do? This amount, whatever it is there, already we had recovered a part. See, now if I try to calculate the depreciation, how much amount of depreciation you had recovered? See, already you had recovered what? Already you had recovered 7 lakhs as a depreciation. So 7 lakhs depreciation, 7 lakhs depreciation, total 14 lakhs is the depreciation which you had recorded. So 14 lakhs is the amount of depreciation which you have recovered. How much now you are supposed to recover? Now let us try to say 40 plus 7 minus 5. So I need to recover the balance of 42. Now this I will recover prospectively, not retrospectively. So that's the reason always the depreciation recovery should be done prospectively. So as the life of the asset 2 years is done, I will divide with the balance of life of 3 years. So ultimately 47 minus 5 divided by 3 if I do, I will be getting 14. So I will be starting claiming 14 lakhs as my depreciation. So depreciation account will be divided with 14. Fixed asset account will be credited with 14. So ultimately whatever balance you are having in your gross asset, the depreciation will remain the same. Under your gross method, whatever depreciation you were claiming earlier, that entire thing remains the same. Earlier how much you are claiming? You are claiming a depreciation of 9 lakhs. Still you will continue to claim the same thing as your depreciation under your gross method. So that's what is something called as the problem number 3. Okay, means problem number 5. So now I want you to solve with the other problems because other problems are almost the same model. So if we quickly move on to the problem number 6. Okay, so let us move on to problem number 6 there. So let us see what is the problem which is given. Fixed asset is purchased at 20 lakhs, government grant received is 8 lakhs, residual value is 4, useful life is 4. Assume depreciation on straight line method, show the balance sheet of net grant. After 1 year, grant becomes refundable to the extent of 5 lakhs due to non-compliance, past journal entries for 2 years. So there what? I will explain the problem and I want you to solve the problem. Initially, as soon as the asset is purchased, fixed asset to bank account 20 lakhs, done. Then you are receiving the grant. So either you can do this problem under first method or second method. If you do this problem on first method, what you will do? Bank account to fixed asset. So bank account will be debited, fixed asset account will be credited with what? 8 lakhs. So done with the first part. So you had reduced your cost of your fixed asset. Then what you will be doing? Then useful life is going to be 4 years. Useful life is considered as 4 years. That means this is given for you to calculate the depreciation. 20 lakhs minus the government grant received is what? 8 lakhs minus the residual value is what? 4 lakhs. So ultimately the life is what? 4 years. So 8 lakhs divided by 4, the amount of depreciation is considered as 2 lakhs. So you will be claiming depreciation of 2 lakhs and the amount of depreciation will be charged to your P&L account. Okay. So that's what is the entries for your first year. Second year, what is happening? Second year, it is mentioned that you are refunding the grant. You are supposed to refund a grant. How much amount is being refunded? 5 lakhs due to non-compliance. You can take an assumption. This 5 lakhs is refunded before depreciation or this 5 lakhs is refunded after depreciation. If this 5 lakhs is refunded before depreciation, whatever it is, what is my entry for refund? Reverse my original entry. What was your original entry? Fixed asset, bank account was debited, fixed account was credited. Now this 5 lakhs, what I will do? Fixed asset account I will credit. Fixed asset account we are going to credit and bank account we are going to debit because you are refunding that. Now you need to calculate something called as what? Depreciation. How do you do that? That's what is one of the most important element. Say how you are calculating your depreciation. You are calculating your depreciation like this. What is the cost of the asset? The cost of the asset was 20. The cost is what? 20. First year what you have done? Reduced 8 lakhs. Reduced residual value of 4 lakhs. You had calculated the depreciation to be 2 lakhs. So for the first year, the depreciated value is what? 2 lakhs is the depreciated value. Then what happened? Then if you try to say, then after the first year, you had refunded a amount of 5 lakhs. So ultimately my cost of the asset should increase with 5 lakhs. Now if I try to say, at the end of first year, what is the value? The cost of the asset was 12 lakhs. The depreciation was 2 lakhs. So 10 lakhs was the cost of the asset. 10 lakhs is the value of the asset. To the 10 lakhs, what you have done? To the 10 lakhs, you have added the refund amount. What was the refund amount? The refund amount was 5 lakhs. So you are adding total amount of 5 lakhs. Now the cost of the asset is 5 lakhs, from which you are taking a residual value of what? Your residual value given the problem is supposed to be what? The residual value given there is going to be 4 lakhs. So the residual value is 4. Now total value is what? 11. So I am having a balance of 11 lakhs now. So what I am supposed to do? This 11 lakhs is the amount on which you are supposed to take a depreciation. For how many years? For 2 years period. So 11 lakhs divided by, second year. The depreciation is happening in second year. So ultimately I need to take this for 3 years. So 11 divided by 3, I am getting 3.67 as my depreciation. So it's not retrospective. So always you need to calculate the impact on the prospective manner. That's what is nothing but for your illustration 6. Now illustration 7 is also almost the same. Illustration 8 is also almost the same. So I want you to solve with the balance of the problem. So here to end with, what is my conclusion here? Whatever balance you are having, say if you look into this problem, into the problem number 6 again, cost is what? Now your revised cost in the problem, originally the cost is what? 12, 20. The refund is, the grant is what? 10. So ultimately you are recognizing the cost as 12 lakhs. Of the first year you had taken a depreciation of 2, total cost is 10. Now you are adding this with what? 5, which is nothing but the grant. So 15 lakhs is the value on which you are supposed to take the depreciation for the next year. Same line if I consider here, Originally you are considering your cost of the asset as what? 50 minus 10, 40. You are claiming depreciation on 40 minus residual value divided by number of years of life. You are getting the 7 lakhs as your value. Now what happened? 50 minus 10, 40. Now you had refunded back 5 crores. Sorry, you had refunded back 7 lakhs as the grant. Now your cost of the asset will become 47. Now from the 47 you are having a residual value. Same case here. If you see, the residual value is what? 4. 15 minus 4 the residual value. So for the balance period, what is the balance period? 3 years is the balance period. So for the balance period, 42 divided by 3, you will be having 14 lakhs as your depreciation. In this case, my depreciation amount is not going to be changed at all, because you are not changing your cost. You are recognizing the cost at the same value. So that's what is something called as AS 12. Okay.